I joined the group back in 2018, and I've been with the research group since. It's been about 8 years and counting. And I started off in my undergraduate in USM as well. So in our final year, they gave us a list of topics, and I chose a topic on barn owls, thinking, it's going to be a cool species to study for a few months, and then I'll just write my thesis and be done with the whole thing. I was proven very wrong. I ended up falling in love with the species. I've worked hands-on, raising abandoned chicks, collecting data for research, rehabilitating injured owls. It's very hard not to fall in love with something when you work that closely with them. Today, my talk will mainly focus on our research group and how the things we've done are important contributions to science, especially STEM, and more specifically in terms of sustainable rat pest management. And I'll also briefly talk about my own journey through this whole research process. So our group was founded back in 2014. So we are about 11 years old this year. And we were founded by Prof. Hasper Saling from the School of Biological Sciences in USM. And the main idea when we started out the group was to promote the use of barn owls to serve as biological control agents to control rats. And today, we are a group made up of experts with varying fields like genetics, AI and statistical modeling, pesticide resistance, and various other fields. And we are also made up of researchers, which are also carrying out all the groundwork. And most of our researchers are students with a background in biology, specifically zoology. And so the main objective, which was to promote barn owls to control rats, is not something novel or something new that we are introducing to the world. It's a quite established field of thought, and biological control itself as a concept began in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And biological control is when we control pests like plants and insects or animals like rats using their natural predators. And barn owls are one of the most utilized biological control agents worldwide. They have an almost global distribution, and their roles vary depending on their regions and agricultural landscapes. So, for example, in some countries in South America, barn owls are used to control urban rats to curb the spread of diseases like hantavirus. In California, USA, barn owls are used to control wolves in vineyards. In the UK, they control rats and mice in farmlands, and in Malaysia, they are used to control rats in oil palm plantations, rice fields, and previously cocoa fields as well. And like I mentioned, studies began long ago. In Malaysia, studies on using barn owls to control rats began in the 1960s in oil palm plantations. And all this list of facts behind me are from years of research that have been carried out concerning barn owls and rats. And while studies began in the 1960s, it showed that barn owls are mostly eating rats, and we can establish a local population just by putting up artificial nest boxes, and these can pull barn owls to come and breed and hunt in an area. But this field or this school of thought slowly died out. We found when we started off a group in the 2000s, we found that a lot of oil palm plantations and rice fields were just saying they had barn owl control programs. But when we went and visited, it was just like one nest box for a huge area. And so that was where we got the idea that, we need to remind people how effective barn owls are. And so we began more research. Since 50 years ago, there have been a lot of technological advancements. So we could incorporate all this to get new data and go back and present all this to government bodies and NGOs to convince them how effective barn owls are to control rats. And speaking of rats, aside from focusing on barn owls, we also carry out research on rats to better understand how to control them. Because the main or the preferred control method these days is using chemical control, which is usually made up of anticoagulant rodenticides. And anticoagulants work by messing with your normal blood clotting processes. So what happens is that you can suffer spontaneous bleeding, which will lead to blood loss, and eventually this will cause death. And this mechanism of action is not just specific to rats. It can also impact humans if we eat enough rat poison, and it can also impact a lot of other animals depending on how much poison they eat and their size. And anticoagulants also have the problem of secondary poisoning. This means that a predator that eats a poisoned rat is going to get poisoned as well. And studies that we have carried out have shown, like, for example, barn owls, when they eat poison rats, they'll suffer all those bleeding problems. They'll have difficulty flying, difficulty breathing, and this can indirectly cause their death. And studies in the field have also shown that in areas where they're using a lot of rodenticides, there's a drop in the barn owl population itself. There's less eggs and less owls that live in nest boxes. And with this, we've also expanded our initial research goal, our initial group goal, which now, aside from promoting barn owls, we're also trying to increase awareness on the harmful effects of anticoagulant rodenticides. So this is just in an oil palm plantation landscape in Malaysia. So those species at risk are long-tailed macaques and squirrels who can directly eat the rat poison. And other animals at the risk of secondary poisoning would be barn owls, eagles, civets, and even cats. And I've been a part of a lot of this research. It's not an easy process. This whole scientific process, you have failures in your method, or you have hypotheses, it doesn't work, you have to go back and start all over again. It requires resilience and a passion for the project that you're doing. And yeah, so this is all an idea of what a degree in biology can offer you if you're thinking of a career in STEM. But academia is not the only route that you have to take. There are a lot of other available options, because when you do a postgrad study or even an undergrad study, you're being trained as a scientist to be independent, problem-solving skills, critical thinking skills, people skills. You have to deal in the field with farmers, or even dealing with your lab members, your supervisors. These all build up skills that you can apply to real-world fields. And yeah, a lot of my colleagues, my former board members, they've left the group and they're not sticking in academia. They're in the industry. They're working in the oil industry, in pest control fields. And we had people from LPP here with backgrounds in biology, and they're applying it towards community work. So yeah, if you're thinking of pursuing a core science subject like biology, physics, or chemistry, it is not a route where you just have to stick in the lab and something that's just done on paper. There are so many different fields to explore, so many different ways you can contribute. And in the world these days with climate change, we need scientists, we need people to help mitigate the coming problems and all. So yeah, a career in STEM is not a dead end. This story is just a very small way that a degree in biology has helped me in conserving one wildlife species, and hopefully go on to work towards conserving other raptor species in Malaysia as well. So I hope this gives you an idea. If you're thinking of pursuing biology, it is a worthwhile field if you're passionate about it. And yeah, you can contribute to society as well.